like a dreamer. Fly all over the world. Open your shell so the world can see. You're a beautiful pearl. Live your day like you mean it. And don't forget who you are. You're free to go anywhere. There's no distance too far. And I just can't get enough of your energy. I just can't get enough. You're the spark shining in the dark. Oh, 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 oh.
Welcome to It Is What It Is with Cindy Saville. I am so excited you're here. It Is What It is a show all about people, real adversity, overcoming adversity, and sharing their stories and inspiring others. So let's get to mitzvah time without further ado. Mitzvah. What's a mitzvah? A mitzvah is a good deed. I do mitzvah time every week on my show. I challenge all of you to do mitzvahs and share them with me because I want to share them on the show. But a mitzvah is a good deed. I want to share a mitzvah that actually one of our, another fellow Strong Island Television talk hostess, did for me. Her name is Linda DeVitas, and she has Healings on the Go. Again, another show here on Strong Island Television. And I currently have a loved one that is fighting for his life. And it's been quite a struggle for those of you that are friends with me, that follow me. You know that I've been dealing with quite a bit recently the last couple of weeks and asking for prayer. I thank everybody for your prayers and your thoughts and your good wishes. I want to thank Linda for spending hours and hours doing her candle healings on him. It just makes a huge difference. I know that all the prayer and everything, all the good wishes you're sending is helping. So I want to thank you all for that. I want to thank you, Linda, for spending hours and hours, of healing prayer, magical candle healings, and all that energy, the positive energy you're all sending. So that's a special mitzvah, or mitzvah, many mitzvot. Giveaway time, my book. So it is what it is. This is the giveaway. So it's a great book. You're going to love it. I got to say, it's a fantabulous book. It'll keep you entertained. I guarantee that. It's got my bizarre, twisted sense of humor, and I use a lot of foul language, and everyone loves foul language, especially that word. That's, like I said, my favorite word. So remember, comment, like, and share, and that's the way you can possibly win this book, this giveaway. Now, when we come back from a commercial break, you're going to meet a gentleman named Brett Bordonaro. Brett Bordonaro has something called intestinal pseudo-obstruction. I've never heard of it before, and I'm sure you never heard of it before. Brett is the third one in the entire United States to be diagnosed with this, and when he was young. Now, when we come back, you're going to meet this fabulous survivor. You're going to learn all about what intestinal pseudo-obstruction is, and he's going to share with you what he's doing with his life. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this commercial break.
Silvermine at Home, a Connecticut-based non-medical home care agency servicing Connecticut and parts of New York. Silvermine caters to their clients' needs while offering peace of mind to their families so their loved one can age in place and live their best life possible. Call today to see how they can make a difference in you or your loved one's life. Our family caring for yours. Visit silvermineathome.com or call 203-228-5007.
Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville and Brett Bordonaro. Welcome, Brett, to the show. How are you?
I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Cindy. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for making the drive. I know it was quite a drive for you. And, you know, I want to go back to when we first met. How did we meet?
Well, you spray tanned me, and so I, got to meet you in that arena, and we got to talking. Obviously, I don't disclose a lot about myself normally, but meeting you and, being kind of vulnerable and open in those moments, we kind of had a conversation, and that's kind of how we met.
We clicked. We
did. We clicked right
but
away.
I guess when you're, like I tell people, in your tighty whitey, it's not that you wear, I don't know what, I'm not gonna give away what you wear, but you're a little vulnerable, and we definitely clicked.
Yes.
And it's a lot of people when they go into a spray tan room with me, they make excuses for their bodies, or they explain things on their bodies, and I know that when we first went in there, you started explaining to me the scars on your body, and I always say scars tell stories.
Oh, absolutely.
Right?
Yeah,
So
they're definitely a part of all of our stories and our healing as well.
Yes, so we're going to tell your story today.
I can't wait.
So what exactly is, and I kept getting it wrong, but intestinal pseudo-obstruction?
Sure. So
I've never heard of it.
Sure.
What is it?
Intestinal pseudo-obstruction is essentially an obstruction of the intestines, but it's not a real obstruction. Pseudo actually means fake.
Oh.
So it's where your body is reacting as if there's something obstructing it, which then causes motility issues and malabsorption issues. And that's basically what I dealt with for most of my life.
Right. So what are some of the symptoms? Like, obviously, how did you get diagnosed? You were the third one in the United States.
Sure.
Right?
So I was 2 months premature. I was born 2 months early, came into the world, was in an incubator, went home to my mom, started having some cardiac issues, had to get a pacemaker placed. Then I was having issues where I was continually vomiting, and it was corroding my insides. And so they performed something called a fundoplication, where they tie off the esophagus, and that essentially meant I could no longer throw up or burp as long as I live. The one I had...
And you've never thrown up or burped since?
No, I haven't. Wow. And when I was younger, they made them irreversible. So the procedure cannot be reversed. Wow. So that is going to be something I live with forever.
So what do you do when you have, heartburn, or I don't know, acid in your stomach, or, I guess that's why we burp, right?
Yeah. So, I mean, obviously I still deal with all those symptoms on a daily basis. Yeah. And so a lot of what I deal with is just really symptom management. It's just taking an antacid or medication to help kind of soothe the symptoms when they come along. But really, for me, I think a lot of my story is about not just the physical scars, but the emotional scars that I dealt with as well. And to everyone out there who's listening and watching, my message today with you is going to be a message of hope and a message of resiliency, and that we all kind of possess that strength and resilience within ourselves.
We absolutely do. Again, this show is all about overcoming adversity, and that's exactly what it is. Just what you said, it's hope.
Well, thank you so much for having the show, because this is really important stuff for people.
Thank you. No, I thank you for being here and sharing your story. So now you had 300 surgeries, close to 300 surgeries by the time you were 18 years old.
Sure.
I have had quite a few myself, but 300 surgeries.
Yeah.
Wow. So thank God for Mama's intuition, right?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah.
Your
my
mom saved your life.
My mom definitely saved my life. Yeah. She always stood by my side. She was there through all my procedures. She stood by my bedside, lived with me when I lived at the hospital for many years.
Wow.
On and off. Obviously, my family did the best they could to keep things as normal and as natural as possible. Sure. In fact, I was talking to my sister before I came onto the show, and we were talking about how sometimes none of us really realized how different our lives were. I was a Make-A-Wish kid, and we went to Florida when I was 5, and she noticed when we were there at that time, my sister's 4 years older than me, she was 9, she realized people staring and laughing and kind of mocking and making fun of me, and that's when she really realized, wow, we are living differently than other people. But my parents did everything they could to make things as normal and as natural for me. Even though I couldn't do sports, I couldn't go outside and do certain activities, and a lot of my life I had 24/7 nursing care. I was hooked up to tubes and wires. Because of the malnutrition and the motility issues, I couldn't absorb nutrients. So I was essentially wasting away. So because of that, I had to have stomach tubes, intestinal tubes, and lines that went into my heart.
How many tubes did you have at one time?
So one particular time I had 3. I had an intestinal tube called a J tube, a stomach tube called a G tube, and a line that went into my heart called a central venous line.
Do they call, curious, the intestinal tube a J tube because of the jejunum?
They do, actually, yeah.
Because I just learned about that.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely, that is why they call it that.
I was curious about that.
Yeah, and so, it's one of those things where, I only knew what I knew.
Right.
But I remember always having so many people around me. And as time has gone on, again, it's sometimes the emotional stuff that we deal with, not the physical.
Of course.
And I've learned as I've grown up, like, okay, I don't have all these people around me now. And, how do I fit into the world? And my story is really about fitting into the world, being different, not just being somebody who had medical issues, but somebody who's an openly gay man, somebody who had to come on that journey and realize that, someone who was able to overcome some of these things and really come into my own.
Right, no, absolutely. I want to talk about, because we're going to get into all of that, I want to start with all the medical, so at 5 months old, you had your first pacemaker.
Yes.
It's, it must have been a tiny little thing, right?
Must have been. Well, I actually have it. I actually kept it. I have the pacemaker.
Really?
It's good size. It's probably maybe like that size. Yeah.
It's taking up most of your body. My God.
Yeah.
And then you had the fundoplication.
That's right.
Okay, at 7 months old.
Yes.
Right. Then you had a central venous line put in at 8 months old.
Right.
I took my notes. And then you had infection and went through septic shock at about a year old.
Yeah. Yeah, I went through many different infections, because obviously it's very unnatural to have all these tubes and wires in your body. Yeah. And I was so teeny tiny. I was a preemie and all this stuff. So, my body really wasn't equipped to fighting off infection. And I had something called hypogammaglobulinemia, which is an
oh my God, how do you remember these things?
immunoglobulin deficiency, which
can I say that?
Yeah.
Say it.
Hypogammaglobulinemia.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that was essentially a big, long word for my white blood cells were not fighting off infection and bacteria. Okay. And so because of that, I was, getting infections, getting sick. They had to put me in ice baths at 104, 105 fevers, and a lot of rushed trips to the hospital.
Right.
And again, if it wasn't for my parents being so on top of things and the nurses, for endless years being there for me, they became part of our family, living in our home and stuff. And that infection really led to me being treated. I had to be treated for the gammaglobulinemia, so I was getting GammaGuard, which is essentially concentrated white blood. And when I was 5...
What is white blood?
White blood cells, your white blood cells help fight off infection.
Okay, got it.
You have your red and your white blood cells, and your white blood cells are what help fight off bacteria and infection. And so my disease required that I was getting kind of concentrated white blood. Right. And when I was getting it, I was actually infected with Hep C at a young age when I was 5. And back then, they didn't know much about Hep C. It was pretty serious, in the 80s. Right. And I went through a year of interferon treatment and was essentially cured of that. So that was something that I overcame as well.
Wow. So Hep C, thank God you were healed of it. I mean, you were cured of it. Thank God.
Thank God.
How scary.
Yeah.
Back then, I guess the blood wasn't, cleaned the way it is now. I mean, obviously. Right. So you decided, well, at 5 years old, that's when the hepatitis C. You decided to take matters in your own hands at the age of 18.
Yeah.
And what prompted you to decide to do that? And tell us what you did.
Sure. So I lived so long, I wasn't able to be like other kids. I couldn't play sports. I was, had to get up every year in front of my school and talk about my medication and why I had a nurse and why I had my lines and stuff. And a lot of kids knew me as like the sick kid. Yeah. And later on, I was kind of known as the gay kid. So it was like, I've always kind of been identified. And I believe we don't have to be identified by one thing. Right. We're all types of things. We can be more things at once. And when I was 18, when I was about to turn 18. I was going into my senior year, and I had all my life ahead of me. And I wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to college. I wanted to give back. I wanted to do things with the world. And that was really hard for my family because I think they saw me as the same kid in the hospital who was with all these kids who passed away on my unit. I was on a terminal unit. You know,
that must have been hard for you to see.
It was, you know, it was like one day little Jimmy's here, one day he's not, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
But when I had made this decision at 18, I made it with the intent that I wasn't going to live that way anymore. I wasn't going to live like the genie in the bottle, chained.
Yes.
You know, I wanted to
Yes.
live my life. And whatever that
Trapped
looked
in,
like,
right.
I was willing to accept it. And I was ready to move on and make something of my life.
So were you willing? I mean, you could have died.
I could have, yes.
Yeah, pulling all those tubes out.
Yeah.
Now, could you ever eat?
Yeah, so when I was, I started eating more like in my my double-digit years,
Okay.
really. But it was always difficult.
Yeah.
Like, the more I eat, the sicker I felt. So it was really supplementing with the medication. And as time went on, I kind of outgrew my disease. And
Right.
again, a lot of what I want to talk about is really the spiritual side of
course.
things, because there are so many times where I did die. I died on the operating table. I was resuscitated. I had spiritual happenings,
Yeah.
that, you know, visions and things when I was under. And some of those things can't be explained. You know, there were times where my white count was supposed to go sky high and it went
Yeah.
low.
Yeah.
Or times where my potassium had dropped and I should have been dead and I'm up playing in my pack and play as a kid.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
overcoming those things,
Yeah.
you know, I often feel like my life has been defined by 3 different things, 3 words: hope, opportunity, and fate. And fate is something that kind of, I just feel like I was brought through. I was
Yeah.
dragged through by some spiritual force. The doctors didn't know, you know, people didn't know. And at 18, when I made that decision,
Right.
I really channeled my hope, and I believed in fate that things were going to work out, and I have a higher purpose in life.
Yeah, you had to believe.
I absolutely did.
You know, it's funny because I have 3 words also. And I actually tattoo them on my side. When I was diagnosed with breast cancer, I'll tell you this quick little story, and then we'll go to break, and then we're going to come back with a lot more with you.
Okay.
I remember I wanted a tattoo. It was my first tattoo, and I decided on what I was going to do, but I'm really bad drawing, so I was trying to draw it out, and I finally got it. And I remember sitting outside topless because I was going to have my breasts removed within a matter of days, sunning them, you know, because I was having a photo shoot, so I had to be tan.
Right.
And sitting there, and I had next to me a little table. I was on my deck, and a stack of yellow paper. I don't know why yellow, but yellow paper. And I must have gone through, you know, scribbling, trying to figure out. Now, my 3 words are strength, survival, and love. So those are my 3 words. And I made them into a shape of a heart. And so I finally got it. I'm like, that's it, that's it. And I put it down on the table. And just then, it was May, just then, it was not a windy day either, I should preface. All of a sudden, a big gust of wind comes and takes all my papers, flips them over the deck and down into the woods. And there's prickers down there. And I was like, no! I jump up, of course, holding myself so no bird, you know, no neighbors would see. And I see all my papers. And I was devastated because I finally found the one. I did it. I got the one I wanted. I said, that's it. I sat down, and all of a sudden, I looked to my right, and there was 1 piece of paper left. Do you know, it was a piece of paper I put on top. It was the one. It was the one.
Yeah.
It was the one.
Yeah.
Everything blew off that table.
But that paper.
From underneath that one piece, except for that 1 piece. So fate right there.
You can't explain
No,
it.
I
These
said,
things just
my
happen.
God, that's it. Like, it was amazing. It was a sign that said, yeah, get that tattoo. So it's
Right.
here in my daughter's handwriting.
Right.
So listen, we're going to take a break. So we're going to take a break. When we come back, you're going to hear more from Brett. He's amazing, and I can't wait till you hear more of his story. So don't go anywhere. Share, comment, like, and we'll see you in a minute.
Do you or a loved one need the care of a nursing home? A vibrant community to call home where there are healthcare professionals available 24/7? Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, located in New Milford, Connecticut, has been offering award-winning care for over 40 years. Whether you are rehabilitating from a cardiac procedure or hip replacement, or seeking a place for your loved one to live where he or she can receive top-notch health care, our team is at the ready. We also accept veteran benefits and offer a special secure memory care unit for residents with Alzheimer's or cognitive-related conditions. Call us at 860-355-0971. Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, a place to heal and thrive.
Welcome to Sunday Dinner with Chef Clemente. This is an all-new show about family cooking, Sunday dinner, things we did as a child, bringing back some memories and some tradition. This is how this dish was born. I'm going to show you that in just a couple of minutes. So, the trick with the meatballs too, when you fry them, you don't want to overcrowd the pan too much. To drizzle, not too much of olive oil right on top of that fish. So, a little flour. A little egg, Cella Luna, met somebody, everybody drink some wine. Everybody keep going. Pass them around, everybody eat a little bit, come on. You gotta dance. Oh my God! Watch the Get together, go visit your mother, your sister, your cousin, bring some pastries, some food, get together, eat, drink, be happy. Who wants some linguine, clams, and pastries?
Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville and Brett Bordonaro. All right, Brett, got more questions for you.
Okay.
How, you talk about what it was like growing up with tubes and how you felt, obviously, you didn't realize you were different until it came to a certain point. How did you feel, in school? How were you treated in school? How were you treated by your peers?
So, yeah, it was not easy, that's for sure. I think when I got to grade school, that's when I started to feel different, I started to feel like sometimes like the monkey in the circus, kind of people would stare. Obviously, I had to kind of push through all that and be resilient and kind of like find my people, that made me feel comfortable, the nurses, family, and a couple of friends that I had. But that was definitely challenging. It got harder as the older I got, I think, too.
Because, here you went in front of the kids every year, explained, because I've heard this from other guests, actually, that have come on, where they've had to explain, what they're all about. So the kids understood. And, but did you find that the kids were accepting and protective of you, or did you find that you were mocked and ridiculed, or?
It was definitely both. There were some kids that were very protective. In fact, ironically, some of the kids that you wouldn't expect, some of the troublemakers were the ones who would come to my defense. Some of the kids that maybe felt like they could identify in some way were protectors. But there were a lot of kids that were pretty cruel. I think maybe they just didn't understand, what I had to endure, or maybe they didn't care. But I know that that's pretty common. Kids grow up and they people mature. And I had a lot of people actually that I grew up with come forward years later and apologize and say that they were sorry for how they treated me. And so I think that kind of makes it all worth it.
No, it's nice to have that closure. I know that it can scar you. What happens in your childhood, and we're going to talk about something else in a minute that I know scarred you, but it can scar you. Even, I'll tell you, I ran into an old teacher of mine years ago. I went to have blood drawn, and I saw her, and I'm not going to say her name, but I said, "Oh my God, how are you?" I said, "You were so mean to me." And she I'm like, "But you look really good. So nice to see you." But I had to get it out there.
Right.
I had to get it out because she was horrible to me, and I will never forget her. I'll never forget her name, and I'll never forget the things she did to me. It could be scarring.
Yeah, absolutely. And and that is a huge part of healing, is talking about what you've been through and putting it out there. And sometimes that can be difficult for other people to have to manage what you're putting out there. If they feel maybe they didn't do something right to support you or help you. But if it's a part of your healing, it's okay. It's okay to kind of, let that go and to talk about that.
Well, I want to ask you about your support network. You mentioned that your family was amazing. And thank God. Thank God. Brothers, sisters, all very supportive.
Yes.
You're very lucky.
Very lucky. Yeah, I think, and part of what I do now is I'm a social worker. I work with kids and families, and I see that every day. I see people that don't have those things, and I you know, you always hear the saying, I wouldn't give up my stuff for someone else's stuff.
Sure.
I would not give up my stuff, because having my family and having them there was life-changing, you know, having a mom. But it was very difficult for my sisters, you know. They didn't have parents around as much, especially the younger years, because I was in the hospital, my mom was with me, my dad was working full-time.
Right.
And so they were often with aunts, uncles, neighbors, you know, things like that.
Do they resent you for this?
I think that as time has gone on, we've done so much healing. I'm grateful that our family's been able to do that healing together.
Thank God,
because a lot of families don't get those opportunities.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah.
So you had a live-in nurse for 5 years, right?
Yeah. Yes.
A live-in, 24/7?
Yeah. So I had multiple nurses. I had many nurses.
Okay.
And the company was called PSA. Pediatric Services of America, and they were the ones that staffed my home. But the nurses I had, some of them were at my wedding when I got married. Some of them have been in my life for years. We're talking some nurses I had 16 years from when I was little. And they, like I said, they became like family. You know, they lived there. They were with me. They went to school with me. They were outside my room when I slept. You know, they were there, a very quintessential part of my story. And again, the doctors and nurses in the hospital, I had 2 doctors that were massive. I want to shout them out while we're here.
Please.
Dr. Alex.
Because I was going to ask you about them.
Dr. Alex Flores was my GI doctor who did my procedures, my stomach tubes and stuff like that, and helped with my medication and everything. And he was just phenomenal. And then Dr. Craig Lillahei, who was my surgeon. He did the majority of my surgeries. And so if you guys are watching, you know, I don't know where my camera is, but if you guys are watching, thank you so much for everything that you did. Right here.
Right up, straight ahead. Look up. Yep.
Yes. Yep. Thank you. If you guys are watching, I wouldn't be alive and the person I am today without you guys. And so thank you very much. I want to shout them out.
See how nice, yeah.
Now,
one of your doctors did something incredible.
Yes.
Tell us that story.
So I'm not sure
I was going to
where
ask you
he
about
went,
that.
but I know that there were medications that were not FDA approved at the time that he made sure I got.
Is he going to get in trouble for you saying this?
I hope not. we're not going to say which doctor it is.
there you go.
But yeah, you know, the doctors at that time went above and beyond for me, the ones I had. And again, you know, going and getting medication from places that weren't FDA approved to make sure that I had the best care. Was huge.
That's amazing. I mean, they went to another country. Specifically to get you a non-FDA approved medication to save your life. Like, that's incredible.
It is incredible.
That doctor and all the doctors that went out of their way for you, and the doctors even now, because I see it with my loved one, they get in it for the right reasons. You know, those that go out of their way. Yes, it's not for the money. It's not for the fame. If you know, prestige. It's for doing the right thing.
And it directly ties into how I work as a human. Like I want to make sure I spend extra time with my families and work with them. And not the system doesn't always like that, but you know, I want to make sure I'm spending as much time and doing what I need to do to make things, you know, to make sure I understand what's happening and how can I support and help.
You're giving back. So tell us about that nurse. I want to know what happened with that nurse.
So
that one particular one.
So when I was younger, I had a nurse between the ages of 2 and 5 who was abusive to me. And this is for anyone who went through abuse and suffered, because it happens. You know, there are a lot of people out there, majority of people that go through abuse. And it started off like most abusers, psychological and mental, and then it moved towards more physical abuse. And
what were some of the things that she did?
So there was suffocation, and there was exclusion. There was dressing me up in girls' clothes and mocking me. There was a lot of psychological abuse. Like part of my issue was the malabsorption and the nutrition. And she would send me to bed. Like my parents would leave and she would put me to bed right away without eating. One time she brought me and her children to the park and left me in the van, and I was suffocating in the van in the summer heat. So there was a lot of different abuse, but what I learned recently, I've done a lot of healing and therapy, and by the way, therapy is great. I highly recommend it.
I think everybody should go for therapy.
Absolutely.
Everybody can use it,
Trauma therapy really helped me understand, and I was able to pen a letter to her and and I never sent it, but it was...
is she still around? I'll go find her.
Oh, she's around.
I'll go find her.
But sent this, really wrote this letter for myself, and it was so cathartic and healing, and I actually afterwards felt sad for her. I felt bad for her. I didn't feel angry. And so I found that to be cathartic, and I really encourage people to find ways to overcome their abuse through healing, whatever way works best for them. But I definitely think under the supervision of a therapist or a counselor is the best way.
No, absolutely under the supervision. I agree. I give you a lot of credit because I don't know if that would be enough. I write because it is cathartic. I love to write. Everything comes out. I used to journal when I was young. This book that I wrote is what it is. We'll bleep that out. It was cathartic, and I got it all out. But I don't think if that was my scenario, I would have to deliver that letter. I would have to.
And I think
so. I give you credit.
Thank you. And this was all very recent that I did this healing because I dragged that kind of abuse came with me, and it was kind of something like I learned to kind of be there, and that kind of led into relationships. I wasn't out of the closet until I was 23. I was kind of in a place in my life where I was accepting relationships as they were, and it led me into some intimate partner violence situations, and it was a very dark time in my life. Very dark.
No, and I could see that. I could see why. How do you? Well, you kind of answered that question, so I'm not going to ask that one yet. But tell us about the Make-A-Wish, because I love that you were I'm sorry, you were a Make-A-Wish kid, because it's not usually a good thing, but you survived. And what was the Make-A-Wish? What was your wish?
So Make-A-Wish is a foundation, first of all, that helps terminally ill kids kind of receive the one wish that they want in their life. And mine was to go to Disney, but I wanted to go with my family. And Make-A-Wish was able to do that, was able to send my whole family to Disney. And I was 5 years old, and that was a memory I'll always remember. Snow White came to my house and delivered, you get to come to Disney, and it was just so amazing and an experience. And I've never been back to Disney since then, but I am going back in the winter.
Good. Oh, that's, have you been in touch with Make-A-Wish? I mean, do they know your story that you survived?
No, I haven't, but maybe I'll reach out after this. That sounds like something.
I think you should.
That would be awesome.
I think you should, because how wonderful that, you made it, you survived. And how you'll never forget that experience. What a difference it made in your life.
And it was not just that I survived. I was able to go to college. I got my degree. I've been working for the last 18 years in the field, really trying to help give back and support people. And part of what I want to obviously talk about is motivational speaking. It's something that has been my dream since a child, to go out, and I just started recently kind of getting out there and doing that.
And here you are here today.
Here I am today, and I'm hoping it opens more doors that we can.
Oh, it definitely will. It definitely will. Well, tell us about when you came out as a gay man, because that's a whole other thing also. I mean, something that is not the easiest to, especially, how old are you now?
I'm going to be 36 next month.
Right. So nowadays it's a lot. I can't say it's easy. I'm sure it's not easy for anybody to come out, but especially to their family and, but tell us about how you came out.
Well, I never really knew I was gay as a kid. I know a lot of people talk about their stories. Girls? Yeah, I did. I like people. I think I still like people. I don't know if I would necessarily I always get kind of weary defining myself one way or another. I like people. I like people that make me happy,
person.
and I want to feel for the person.
Sure.
So, but I would say that early on I didn't really know, and then as I got older, there was no role models. There was nobody out there, that I could say, oh, I have a gay role model. I have somebody in the community that I can aspire to be like. Will and Grace was probably the only thing out there at that time that I could really identify with, and the characters were a little bit extreme. So for me, coming out, it was really at a time where I had been through some abuse. I'd been through some dark situations, and I just couldn't take it anymore. And it was like I had reached a fork in my life. I'm either going one way or the other, because even though my medical, again, the mental and the emotional pieces are more taxing at times than the physical. We can overcome our physical scars, we'll heal and things like that. But what happens inside, you have to find a way to make those heal. And so for me, I was really struggling. I was at a crossroads in my life where I was beaten down and abused and broken. and I knew I couldn't live that way anymore. And
Right.
so I chose to make that decision to save my life. And when I came out, everything just kind of made sense. Like, again, I didn't necessarily
It's
come
like
out.
the pieces of the puzzle kind of came together for
Everything came together. You
Yeah.
know, it was like, okay, you know, and coming out was very difficult. You know, friends and family. There were some friends that I lost completely.
Sure.
There were some family members that took longer than others to kind of understand. And I'm so, speaking of what you were saying about where we're at now,
Yeah.
it's like the friends and the community and society changing is what's helped kind of move certain people along in
Yeah.
their acceptance.
Absolutely.
And so I'm so grateful for where we're at now. And there's still a lot of kids out there struggling, and specifically in America, but also in a lot of places outside America, that it's not accepted. And
Right.
I always want to make sure when I work with people that I try to reach those people. Those are the
Yes.
people I want to help
Yeah.
out there.
And they know
you
they're accepted.
And they know they're accepted.
Well, this is a good stopping point for this segment.
Yes.
So we are going to come right back after this commercial break. You're going to hear more from Brett. He's fabulous. Don't go anywhere. Remember, comment, like, and share, and we'll see you in just a minute.
Silvermine at Home, a Connecticut-based non-medical home care agency servicing Connecticut and parts of New York. Silvermine caters to their clients' needs while offering peace of mind to their families so their loved one can age in place and live their best life possible. Call today to see how they can make a difference in you or your loved one's life. Our family caring for yours. Visit silvermineathome.com or call 203-228-5007. Do you or a loved one need the care of a nursing home? A vibrant community to call home where there are healthcare professionals available 24/7? Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, located in New Milford, Connecticut, has been offering award-winning care for over 40 years. Whether you are rehabilitating from a cardiac procedure or hip replacement, or seeking a place for your loved one to live where he or she can receive top-notch health care, our team is at the ready. We also accept veteran benefits and offer a special secure memory care unit for residents with Alzheimer's or cognitive-related conditions. Call us at 860-355-0971. Candlewood Valley Health and Rehabilitation, a place to heal and thrive.
The Suki and Scott Show.
This is one of the funnest shows I've ever done.
Lady, when you're with me, I'm smiling.
It's musical. It's magical.
This is a sexy show. Someone's getting some action.
Now, these larger-than-life personalities are on an exciting new journey. The Suki and Scott Show is your one-stop destination for humor,
You like De Niro and Cape Fear. Counselor!
entertainment,
Jesse's girl.
Wonderful.
Can you paint with all the colors of the wind?
and optimism.
You guys have such amazing energy.
Let's laugh together.
I love him.
The Suki and Scott Show.
Welcome back to It Is What It Is with Cindy Seville and Brett Bordonaro. Brett, welcome again.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story. So I wanted to ask you a big question. Have you healed?
I have. Healing is definitely not there's no end point to healing. We're always healing and growing. But I continue to do my healing, and I'm definitely in the best place of my life. I've never been this happy, this content in my life. So yeah, I would say I'm
It's amazing.
I'm healing.
I mean, you've gone through so much physically, emotionally, and here you are. And I mean, so many different things. And here you are today, able to say, I love who I am. I love where I am in life. And it's funny, I could say the same thing. And I'm a little older than you, but we won't say by how much. But also, I went through a lot as well. And, it's, again, overcoming adversity and kind of owning it, dealing with it, accepting it, and finding, your path in life.
Absolutely.
Which you found. So, and which brings me to, you had mentioned you're a social worker and you work with children.
Yes.
So I mean, this was just a natural thing for you. This is something, is this what, did you go to college?
I did. Yep.
Okay.
I did go to college, and I've always wanted to work with kids, and I've been working with kids for a long time. I was a preschool teacher.
Oh, nice.
And then I moved on. I worked in group homes. I've worked in residential facilities. I've worked in the community, and then now I'm doing the social work. I'm really going in and working with families and kids.
Right.
And
how long have you been a social worker?
I've been doing this for 5 years now.
Good for you. And you love it.
I love it.
And you're
I
giving
do.
back, and you're helping.
Yes.
Now, have you ever, I mean, obviously you're going into into homes
Yes.
where kids are abused.
Right.
And that must be heartbreaking to see.
It is, and I think,
Yeah.
you know, it's a reminder. I think a lot of times people see people in this field as kind of the villains.
Right.
But we do a lot of good. We work really around the clock to make sure that kids' needs are being met and to try to really keep families together, not to tear families apart. And that to me is so important, you know.
Which is great, because a lot of times these social workers are given a bad rap.
Absolutely.
You know? Yeah. Because they have to do something that nobody wants to do, but they have to do it to protect the children.
Right.
Yeah. So, no, I think it's wonderful that you're doing that. How do you feel about, well, you yourself now? I mean, you're loving who you are. You're doing some modeling. Tell us about that.
Well, that happened.
Well, first of all, the
Yes.
spray tan. Right now
Yes.
looks.
Thank you.
I sprayed him last night, or yesterday morning, and look at that gorgeous tan.
Love it. It's
Gorgeous, natural.
perfect.
Right? Call me if you want a spray tan.
Yes. Absolutely.
So it looks gorgeous. So so you're doing some modeling.
Yeah, so
amazing pictures, by the way.
I feel like I'm just,
Incredible.
you know, God is just opening these doorways for me, and I'm being able to chop things off my list, my bucket list that I never thought I'd be able to do. Walking in a fashion show in Manhattan was definitely one of those things.
Incredible.
But you know, I'm getting ready to go on a trip in a couple years to Africa, and that's another big bucket list. So, you know, life is all a balancing act, and as long as you are managing what you need to manage, you know, why not have a little bit of fun and enjoy life?
I agree. I totally agree. Now, the motivational talks.
Yes.
And so tell us where you want to go with that. What are you doing with that? Where do you want to go with
that? So, I mean, first of all, I think the sky's the limit, right? I want to go and talk to kids in schools who have been bullied. I want to talk to kids who feel different. I want to talk to kids who maybe feel like they don't belong, you know, in whatever group. And I know that's a cliche, and a lot of people say that, but I really believe that I can reach people on a wider scale, you know, whether you're someone who's disabled, whether you're somebody who has been bullied, whether you're somebody who's gay or bi or non-binary, whether you're somebody who is having issues at home with your family. You know, if you have, you know, a breath in your lungs, you have the ability to make choices in your life. And opportunity, again, back to my 3 key words: hope, opportunity, and fate. Fate is something that kind of just happens, we fall into it, but seizing those opportunities and being your own hero and is so important. You know, I've seen a lot of people, you know, who feel sorry for themselves, who go through the motions and they kind of are defeated. And I believe that you have to get up every day and choose to fight. You know, every day I suffer with pain. Every day I have, you know, thoughts about things that happened to me in my life. But I am actively in therapy. I am actively somebody who gets up and fights every day. And I believe that, you know, even people that struggle with that, like, they have that potential. They can get there, you know?
You know what's great? And for me, it's the breast cancer world. You know, again, I pick up my book. It's, you know, you kind of become an expert in your own, you know, based on your own experiences. And you can relate to people in ways that some of us can't relate to, you know? So, you know, you can help those children or adults even, really, that have gone through, you know, medical issues, that have gone through abuse, that have gone through, you know, anything that you have gone through. So, you know, I find that the people who, because listen, somebody talking to me and they've never experienced what I've experienced, you know, I kind of take it with a grain of salt. You know, like, you don't really know what I'm going through. Although I will say, my counselor, when I went through the breast cancer journey, she was amazing. Thank God she never had breast cancer, because I don't wish it on anybody. But she understood. She really got me. And she actually told me, and this is something that I'll share with you, and I mean, basically you said this, you can't let it consume you. You know, she told me it's okay to cry, because I was crying every day.
Yep.
Like every single day for years. And she said, it's okay to cry, but let it out and don't let it consume you.
Exactly.
You know, she used to say, cry in the shower. Go in the shower in the morning. Get it all out. And then once your shower shuts off, you're done.
We're
you're done for the day.
strongest during the times that we are on the ground, on our knees. That there's strength in that, you know. Again, I talked about earlier. You don't have to just be one thing.
Right.
You know, you can be more than one thing.
Absolutely.
And for me, it's you're strong in the moments that you're on your knees. That was something that was difficult for me to learn, because I always felt like I had to be this strong, resilient person and display that in a certain way. But strength comes in all different packages.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. It definitely does. Now, you had flatlined
Yes.
a few times, and that means you died. I mean, to say it bluntly, because I'm very blunt, you know, as you see in my book. When you know me, I'm very blunt. What do you remember? Do you have any recollection? Because I remember you telling me some stories about, you know, what happened. I mean, you didn't know you died at the time, but what happened during those times?
So, you know, there were moments where I don't remember. I was young and there was a lot of stuff happening medically, but there was one particular instance where there was a neighbor we had who had passed away of cancer, and she had given me this angel necklace, and she said to wear it every time I go into surgery.
Did you wear it every time?
I wore it every time, and that it would protect me, that I would be safe. And unfortunately, after her passing, there was a great loss in our neighborhood, in our community, because she was a wonderful woman. And I had a dream when I went into surgery after her passing that we were dancing together in this white room, and it was beautiful, and I wanted to stay. And she kind of pushed me away. She said, no, it's not time. You know, it's not your time yet. And I woke up in the recovery room. My parents were there, and I relayed the story, and they were just sobbing and upset.
I can imagine.
And as time went on, I realized in that moment, you know, later on, that I had flatlined during surgery.
So scary.
So, you know, some things we can explain, some things we can't. I also had like a spirit kind of follow me for like a year of my life, and everybody knew that the spirit was there, because I would communicate with the spirit, but nobody could see the spirit.
Wow.
Except for me.
You could see it.
Yes.
And do you think it was somebody you knew, or?
You know, I think we all have angels around us.
We totally do.
And even if you don't, you know, even if you're not a religious person or somebody who believes in Catholicism necessarily, you know, there's energy around us. We're energy. We manipulate energy, you know, all day, every day.
Yeah.
And so whatever energy was around me has been protecting me. And that is part of why I have such strong hope, and I believe in fate, because I believe some things the doctors couldn't, you know, explain.
Right.
Saying to my parents, well, he should be dead. He should be dead. And if my parents had a dime for every time the doctor said that, they would probably have hundreds of dollars, you know, in their bank. So for me, it's just like, you can't explain certain things. Some things are just meant to happen.
Yeah.
And I believe that once you let go of all that pain, and you really and you accept the pain in order to then let go of it, that you can really heal properly.
Yeah. You can't feel sorry for yourself. You have to get to a point where you say, this is my plight. This is my journey in life. You know, everybody's given a different journey. And, you know, when you look around, other people have it worse.
Absolutely.
You know, so like you said, be grateful for your own
Yeah,
you know?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That'll be bleeped out. But seriously, you know, you think somebody has it better, but you don't really know.
You don't.
What they're going through. The grass isn't always greener on the other side, you know? And, you know, same with me. You know, my journey, my breast cancer journey, oh my God, it sucked. It sucked. 8 major breast surgeries. I lost a lot in my life. You know, family, money, my business, you know, that tanning salon that I spray you at used to be mine. You know, so I could go on. And it was really a struggle. And I thought, why me? Why me? Why me? And part of me, every so often I think, yeah, why did I have to go through that to get where I am? But I love where I am in life.
Right.
I love where I am. And if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be where I am today.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell everybody, please, how they can reach you.
So you guys can reach me. My email is Brett, BRETT, period, BORDONARO @ yahoo.com. It's brett.bordonaro@yahoo.com. You can also reach me on Instagram at BrettlyNugs. That's BrettlyNugs.
Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome. And you're available for
Available for
anything?
bookings anytime if you guys are looking for someone to come in and do a motivational speaking. If you guys are looking for a mentor, if you're looking for a healing session, I'm my door and my
Modeling.
Yeah, sure, modeling, absolute acting.
There you go.
Any doors are open.
Add to the list.
Yes, let's keep it coming.
I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, Brett.
Thank you,
for
Cindy,
making
so
the
much.
trip. Really, I know it was quite a trip, but thank you for coming on, sharing your story. Sharing is caring, I always say, and it really helps so many other people. It inspires other people, and your story is. I mean, I remember you telling me last year, and I thought, my God. And then when I ran into you again, I said, that's it. He's coming on my show.
And that's when the doors were open for me. I said, yep, I'm going to seize this opportunity.
Incredible. Timing. It's all about timing
everything
sometimes.
is about timing.
Yeah.
You got to pay attention. You got to listen because the spirit is telling you always.
Yes. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. Well, I'm going to end with some final thoughts. Now, Brett Bordonaro decided that he was not going to be a prisoner in his own body. And he also decided that he was not going to fall victim to what life had in store for him with, the problems and medical issues that he experienced. And, life throws us curveballs. It always throws us curveballs. Life is wonderful, but it can be tough at times, really tough. It's what you make of it. Own it, deal with it, and just remember, you can. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. That's what I always say. You can get through. You can persevere. It's your choice. So thank you for joining us today. Please comment, like, and share if you want to win our giveaway. And we'll see you next week. Thanks for joining in. Thank you for your support.
Live your life like a dreamer. Fly all over the world. Open yourself so the world can see. You're a beautiful pearl. Live your day like you mean it. And don't forget who you are. You're free to go